Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of Finding the Words podcast with Vidhu and Minash. We know it's been ages, but we're not sorry about that. Are you?
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't think we do this for pressure. We're just here for good conversations. And I think we've had a lot of great chats actually in the last month or month and a half since we released our last episode. And really excited to kind of share some of the things we
Yeah.
untangled for ourselves
Mm.
in this episode. And also just want to say a shout out to everyone who thought of us and who's like written to me and been asking about when's our next episode. Sonal, Taruditi, we're finally here and really excited with today's topic.
Yeah, I think that's an important point actually, that like I never want us to feel like the pressure of like, oh, we need to release another episode, or it's like, it's been like 3, 4, 5, maybe in this case weeks, and
Yeah,
we've just let it like lag. It's not that. I think it's like, I think there have been times over the last few weeks where we've like said, let's record, and then it's not felt right, but now it does. And I think we bring our best selves when we're ready.
yeah.
Would you say
And,
that's
and,
like
and, and I think,
true?
yeah, I agree. And I also think like sometimes like we don't feel like being seen or feel like being heard or feel
Mm.
like being expressed, like be like expressing ourselves. And I think it's okay. And we're not doing it as a way of kind of with a rigid routine or with an ultimate goal, which maybe we will have at some point. But at the moment, I think a lot of people have even asked, like, what was the reason why we started this podcast? And maybe we can just share a little bit about it today. Do you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I think actually, I think it's probably worth mentioning like how different the response has been to each of us from the people that follow us. Like, because
Yeah,
I think like for me, I've always done like creative things, and like,
public
I
speaking.
used to
Yeah,
do spoken word and all of this sort of stuff. So I feel like my audience were a bit like, oh, she's doing something else again, albeit like I had a long break between doing all of that and now.
yeah,
I think for me, like it wasn't like so much of like a shock and surprise from people that I was doing a podcast, but internally I feel I like journeyed through so many things over the last few years, contended with so much like self-doubt, lack of confidence with my thoughts and opinions, and also having like very strong opinions and not always feeling like you can voice them in the
correct. Yeah,
public now because we live in such a different climate. It's like, how honest can you be about what you really think? So I think this is like a space for me to like to contend with that out loud, and like to show the journey that I'm going on with finding that voice again. Whereas
without
for
any fear of
you,
judgment.
yeah, exactly. And that's something that can only happen out loud. Whereas for you, even though you're such a, girl boss, like, with Element and the business and everything, still I feel you weren't personally out there, like as
Yeah,
Minash. So the
yeah,
response has been like one of like real
yeah,
surprise by the people that
for
know
sure.
you. So yeah, what has that response been like?
I mean, it's been really good and also like mixed because so like I was telling you, obviously share all the feedback that comes through, which is like different from different people, but majority of it was that it's really real and really like nice to hear me speaking my truth or my thoughts because I'm generally very like reserved with my words and won't really speak that much in um at social situations or even just generally. I think it takes a lot for me to like break out of my shell and really be who I am. So for people who don't know that side of me, especially post getting married and like having coming into a whole new community and a whole new space, like I feel like people have kind of appreciated seeing and hearing my thoughts and opinions about certain things that we've spoken about, and especially the birthdays and becoming episode, I had a lot of people kind of be like, that's amazing. So I think that there's a lot of like a lot of people feel that it's very really real and true, and I really do agree with that. Until Kunal gave me a bit of a reality check, and and just
Yes.
went like, that's not how you and Vidhu actually are.
Yeah.
Um, so
No,
yeah, I think it was,
which is fair, like
which is really
100%.
true in its own way, because he's seen us just sit there and probably like just chat on the phone and on sit on the sofa and just be like complaining or whining, and then obviously he sees us in this podcast like really nicely like put together and stuff, but the chat is still real. I think
Yeah,
he
no,
just thinks that
definitely.
obviously we're just a bit like, we're
Prim
presenting
and
ourselves to
proper.
the world.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
we're
yeah.
prim and proper, exactly. So yeah, I think that there's always like there's been a lot of great feedback, and I think you shared some stuff with me that people have shared um, about me as well, and that was really
Yeah,
humbling.
like,
Honestly, because
yeah, a lot of my friends are like, wow, even though they've met you and they've socialized with you, but they were just like, wow, I didn't realize like Minash was so interesting.
yeah,
Like I've had
exactly.
a lot of
So I
people
must
say like she's really
really come
cool, and
across as a boring person.
maybe, I don't know. I've always thought you were quite interesting. But yeah, I think maybe it is down to like you being quite reserved in social situations, and here like just being a bit more open, and in a podcast there's nowhere to hide. There's nowhere to
Yeah,
like just stay quiet. You're either
yeah,
in the conversation or you're not. But
yeah,
to Kunal's point, like I completely take that on board, like 100%. We're not probably 100% real on this podcast yet, but again it comes back to that point of like documenting the journey to like finding your voice. And like there will be a stage in like 6 months time, I imagine, where we're going to be so real and we're going to look back
yeah,
at these episodes and probably cringe and think, oh my god, we were so like fake with our like full face of makeup or whatever, because that's not how we chat and when we're like
yeah,
on video call or whatever. And we probably will be just like lying down and like chilling and chatting away to the mic as if there's no one there. But I don't think that that's possible to attain until you've gone
until
through
yeah,
these
absolutely.
phases, these stages
True.
of trying to
Almost
present
breaking
yourself.
that shell, possibly,
Yeah,
or like
yeah,
even for us, just coming out of the shell for ourselves.
100%. Yeah. So no, looking forward to the journey that we're going on, and enjoying doing it out loud, and
Absolutely.
looking forward to
And
our
enjoying doing it
listeners. Yeah,
without any pressure as well. Like
yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
the best thing that we have like taken from this and understood, is just that there's no pressure, and like we literally show up when we want to show up. We show up when we have something to actually speak about, something that we are, discussing, even not on the podcast, but bringing really big revelations that we probably have by ourselves and sharing it with everyone.
Yeah. So I know you wanted to chat about identity today, and
Yeah.
like what the different hats that we wear for the different parts of our life. I don't know if you want to share like some of the stuff we were talking about last month, and like just that we
Of
had this
course.
one
Yeah.
chat. It was like 2 hours long, and I felt like we just went through so many
Yeah.
revelations together, which is so weird because I don't know if some of our listeners who don't know us know this, but we live in completely different countries. Minash is in Bahrain, I'm in the UK, and like despite that, like we were friends from university. I don't know if everyone's going to go back and listen to the first episode and hear all the context, so we may as well keep revisiting it. But like we met at university, and been, like best friends ever since. And like what's quite strange is that even though we live in like very different societies, very
Of
different,
course. Yeah.
yeah, different worlds, definitely, it seems like the things that we go through, like we're really able to support each other through. Like a lot of the phases and milestones that we've met along the way, it's like even though I'm in corporate, you're in business, you got married like a few years before me, like even despite all of that, it's like we're either doing something like at the same
Just
time, or like it's just like
trying
one
to.
after the other.
Yeah.
And it's been like a really great sort of like pen pal support over the years to.
Yeah.
And even though we don't have like the frequent coffee dates that friends might have, or
Yeah.
the nights out or the sleepovers that you might have with best friends, like actually it's like a much more intimate relationship, because it's like, and I've always said this about you, Minosh, that you're like way more present with the people that aren't in front of you, and so I
Yeah.
get that presence, I get that 100% attention of
Yeah.
yours
Yeah. Yeah.
when we're chatting on the phone.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway,
Honestly,
I'll
agreed,
let you.
agreed entirely on the on that part. So I guess there are some perks of not being present with the
Yeah.
people that I'm with. So
Yeah,
Vidhu has this
I,
great theory
yeah.
that I always am not present in the country that I'm in. Do you want to say it? Because you would probably explain it a bit better.
No, it's exactly that. Like, you are, I think we have better conversations when we're in different countries
Away,
than
yeah,
even when
yeah.
we meet up. Like, when we meet up, we're like doing stuff, we're like, but like the real in-depth,
Depth of
like
things, yeah,
getting to the core of like real, like your feelings and your
yeah.
vision and your like
The
your,
gaps and getting to the
yeah.
vision and all that stuff. So absolutely, I do agree as well. Like
Yeah,
definitely.
that happens on Google Meet usually.
That happens indeed on a long Google Meet. And I also think that sometimes like we have such a good we have such a good balance because some days we'll get into that and some days we'll just talk absolute just trash and just have a chill chat, which I think is so good. And even, not to forget about the times that we also did struggle to kind of come to the phone because we
Yeah.
had differences on certain things and certain opinions in life. And it's not just it's not that all friendships are just like all hunky dory and like you're just always there like chatting and having deep conversations, but sometimes you're also there maybe you're not able to show up and be or be a friend for that person because you have your
Hmm.
own things going on, or you just can't see eye to eye with the kind of decisions that your friend is making for themselves, or whatever that could be, like it just, I think it stems from so many different things. But I really do feel like overcoming that part for us was such a like was an actual true testament to our friendship in so many ways, because we could put certain things aside and move on for our friendship, not basis on the decisions we've made or the things that we don't maybe necessarily agree on. And I think just having that mutual respect was a great trait that I learned from you, not to just imply in friendships, but even in business, that sometimes things go wrong. Sometimes you meet people and they may not like be in their best at their best and may make a wrong decision or may say something wrong, but that doesn't define that person. It doesn't define your relationship with that person.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much more to it. There's so many more years or months or experiences or journeys that makes your relationship with that person that a small thing cannot define. So yeah.
100%. And that's not just happened to us once. I think that's happened multiple
Yeah.
times and we've overcome
Yeah.
that. But like you've also, I think I also had to like come to terms with the fact that like there are going to be certain decisions that people make that you have to support them with, and you've got to respect that that's the decisions that they're making for themselves. And
Yeah.
it's not, and also like something, a big revelation that I had is that you can't interfere in people's karma. Like, no matter how much you care for them and think that what you're saying is right for them, actually that's just an expression of your ego. You don't know that that
Yeah.
is actually right for them, or that that is the journey that they're supposed to go on. And so like actually like some of the decisions that you've maybe made that I didn't understand at the time, like I could see that you're so much better off for that. So it was like really humbling in our friendship as well, and took a lot, I think. I mean, without going into like details, I
Details.
think there's
Yeah, for sure.
various
Yeah.
instances. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people can maybe relate to that in their friendships. Like you, like it's about like just being real though as well, like
Yeah.
never just like, silencing for the sake of it, but saying like, look, I don't understand why you might have done X, Y, and Z like in your own life, and this is my opinion, but whatever it is, like I'm not gonna like not
You're
be
either free
standing
to
by
take
you
the
for it.
opinion or
Yeah.
not. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There's no like compulsion that, oh, because you're my friend, you should listen to me and I know what's best for you. Or like sometimes it's okay to like just say, like you give your opinion and then you know that the opposite person has the ability to make a decision for themselves in
Exactly.
whatever
And
capacity.
I learned so much through you making the decisions that you've made in your life, like because yeah, exactly that revelation of like, you know, you said what you have to say, and that person has the capacity to hear it and to act, like that in itself was such a big lesson. And I think also, yeah, just not interfering in people's karmas and their journeys, like anyway, I'm just proud of where you are right now and who you are, and like, and I think, yeah, like, yeah, just the
Also just
relationship.
sharing
Yeah.
this because I feel like so many adult friendships just break because people don't know how to navigate these kind of situations, or like, yeah, okay, you may not be okay with the decision your friend made, but that doesn't have anything to do with your friendship. You don't have to cut off distance basis on these. And I really do feel like adult friendships struggle to navigate such things. And there's actually no one that you really talk to, right, about these things. You're just kind of
Mm.
there in your head, just, kind of untangling stuff. But how difficult it is to actually walk through it and come out on the other side and be proud of the opposite person, be proud of yourself for navigating it correctly, because friendships are actually so hard to find in today's time, or to just connect with somebody. Like, it's so hard at our age. I think making friends is just no joke, and maintaining
Yeah.
friendships also require an like certain amount of effort. There's so much stuff that becomes like, or she didn't call me, so I shouldn't call her back, or all that stuff just does happen in adult friendship a lot more, and probably female friendships. But I think we all understand that this life is like, so we all are kind of going through so many different things at so many different times, and I think this is the perfect kind of time to also introduce the topic, since we um I think it all ties in really beautifully, is your identity and who you are. And like, so many times we go through different situations in life where we almost don't know who we are, we don't know how to act, we want to be a certain way, but we don't know how to take that leap to get there, or what road to walk to be that person. And 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 people misinterpret us in these, when we are in these little phases and bubbles, and like, and honestly, like, so you and I were having this chat, and I wouldn't probably have never been able to pinpoint or call it an identity crisis, or maybe not as harsh as a word as crisis, but maybe just like a question mark in where I am in my life, and how much
Hmm.
time am I giving to certain things, right? Like, be it work on a time difference, be it, wanting to balance family life a bit better, giving a bit more priority and time to doing up the house. Like, it was such a beautiful point that you kind of, pinpointed to me and said, when was the last time you went and picked up something for the apartment? And that really, really, was
Hit
a
home. Yeah.
huge thing for me. Like, because I was like, where have I been? In the last 8 months, I've been so engrossed in trying to keep the business afloat and thriving, and then also trying to reinstate a lot of kind of um,
Personal
reassurance.
Yeah, personal
Yeah,
boundaries, I think, is what
yeah,
you've also been like contending with, and how much time you give to different things in your personal life.
yeah,
100%. I think, yeah, a lot of
yeah.
people can understand that.
Yeah, and I feel like it just left me so confused that, like, all I needed was a bit of time management. And I would have considered myself to be pretty great at that all these years with my lists and my calendar life. But you know what?
Yeah,
Honestly, I also realized that writing those lists was giving me like severe anxiety, and not
100%.
making like that day when you wrote the bubble list and you sent it to me. It was such a small thing, but how much nicer do you feel compared to the 9 a.m. brush my teeth, 9:10 make my oats, like
just
that
yeah just for
also.
yeah just for context to everyone, I just really randomly was making my to-do list. As you know, we talk about lists, I think, in every episode.
Every
And
episode.
just that day I thought, you know what, I'm not going to write a linear list. I'm just going to write random things that I need to do. It could be like really small things, like pick up the dry cleaning versus like writing an entire like strategy, but I'm going to put them all in like equal footing on different parts of the page, so it's not like the really important things are right at the top and the really trivial things are at the bottom. It was like all over. And just the joy I got from ticking random things off and like going through the page wherever my eye was scanning and being able to just tick something random off. Like I put small things like feeding the dog on there because that was a big win in the day,
Yeah.
like, you know, just to be able to like tick something off. And I just found at the end of the day, like there were just like one or two like random, 3 or 4 random things just left to do, and it was nice to just put a circle around them and to just feel so fulfilled that the rest of the
Yeah.
page was complete. I know again that like that's another list and like another thing to be tied down to, and but I just think just reimagining it slightly just created such a difference on that day, especially when you've got so many things to do in that day.
Yeah. And especially when you have so many little things to do. And I always do like a personal list and an office list. And then I'm like, oh, I have 2 lists, like not just one. And then it just really feels pretty overwhelming. And like, yeah, I did feel like really burnt out from my own lists, and like really felt like I was not able to, like, I didn't even pinpoint it to time management, but you so simply put it down to me, to put it down to time management. And I have actually been following whatever we spoke about ever since, and it has felt
Yeah,
so nice to just
I think that
enjoy.
some of the highlights were like not feeling so guilty that you're not like constantly available to your team. Like if
Yeah,
you can give them 4 dedicated hours in the morning to answer whatever questions, have whatever meetings, then you can give yourself the grace to go and do the grocery shop midday because that's when you prefer to do it, and it's
yeah,
better doing it then than in the rush hour in the evening, or like going to the gym or at a
yeah,
specific, like, you know, at the time that you want to, or, you know, going to have lunch with the family. Like your team can know that that is a time that you are not available, and that
yeah,
anything that needs to be discussed, if it's urgent, is in this time block or it's tomorrow morning, and
yeah,
that's completely fine. I think another thing that you were probably like, you know, contending with that made it really difficult for you is that your team are working in India, and that's like how many hours?
it's just 2.5 hours
Yeah.
ahead, but that kind of obviously
But in
counts
a
as
morning, like
yeah,
that's the difference between
exactly.
8 and 10:30 a.m. Like that's a big
Yeah,
difference. So don't underestimate that. And I think, you know, like I could see that you were, you know, making like really beating yourself up about wanting to go to the gym in the morning because you hadn't yet had a meeting with your team to set the priorities for the day. But actually, like, how long is your gym session really going to be? And if you are committed to making a like making that time for your team in 45 minutes, then
yeah,
nothing's going to happen that's going to make or break the world. So like, you know, just regulating a little bit, allowing yourself to go
yeah,
have a gym session and come back and feel good for it, and then knowing
yeah,
that I'm going to dedicate the next 3-4 hours to this project, and after that point I can switch off from it slightly. You know, of course your team can WhatsApp you and ask you
yeah.
whatever, but it doesn't need to be that, oh, I booked in this meeting at 3 p.m. No, like giving yourself that grace to know. And
Great.
even in a corporate setting, I think in a post-COVID, quite flexible working
Yeah,
world that we now find ourselves in, I do sort of make it very clear, like sort of when I can and can't be available for certain things. Obviously, it's very different when it's not your own business and you're working for a company or for a private company, but like I'm still like very clear about when it is that I can get to certain things, and just that level of like just respect for self.
yeah, absolutely,
I'm
absolutely. I
not
think there's
gonna,
no better way to
yeah,
put
I'm
that.
not gonna be joining a 2 hour workshop at 3 p.m. Like if this can be a 15-minute call, then I make it very clear that like let's wrap this up and let's get on
Yeah,
with the work and come back on for another 15 minutes at 4:30 p.m. just to see where we've got to and what the plan is for
yeah,
the next day. Um,
yeah,
so I think, yeah, I think that's maybe something that you can only do when you've been doing something and doing it well for a number of years. I don't think you can
yeah.
do that at the most, you know, junior level. Um, but still, I
I think,
think
but
it's,
that's
yeah,
exactly why I was kind of at that point questioning it all, because I'm like, I've been doing this for like over 9 years now. So why have I not got a grip of it? And I also had a really interesting like revelation, which was the fact that I've been doing the long distance. It will be like this year, it will be longer that I've been doing the long distance work relationship than I was actually sitting in the office. So it was almost that kind of a crisis, like, oh my God, have I not managed to kind of ace the long distance working relationship with my team yet, with my office, with India. Like, why am I still struggling? I think that was my main pain point. But yeah, I think it
But
was
because I think there was a part of you that didn't allow yourself to settle in this new environment. Like there was always a part of you that was like half there, half here, but actually like just coming to terms with the fact that I'm 100% here, but I'm
yeah,
still working there. Like how do it's
yeah,
not 50-50, it's 100 here, but
yeah.
and
I
then like
still gotta bring, yeah,
how do we incorporate that into here?
yeah,
But no, I mean, I think from the conversations that we've had since that conversation, I think it's definitely like this new balancing of your time is
yeah,
really working for you.
yeah. And I
Which
think
did
the
you?
lack of
Yeah.
the less guilt as well, it really makes like not feeling guilty or not like talking down to yourself, which I think I was doing a lot out of guilt, and just restructuring my mind and my approach towards that really, really helped me. So
Yeah. Yeah,
thanks
you were
to
like
your
severely beating yourself up that you
yeah,
weren't able to make every deadline, that you weren't able to make every, you know, personal commitment. But it's like there's only so much you can do in a day, which I think brings me on really
yes,
nicely to
yes,
this page that I posted on my Instagram story the other day because it just resonated so well. This is a book called Simple Abundance, a day book of comfort and joy by Sarah Ban Brecknack. I think that's a German name. And I found this in a charity shop last year up north when I was visiting family. And it just really stood out to me because, number one, there was a note in it, and it's from the 90s. So it just has that like sort of old school,
I
like principle and value
mm,
to it that I think we just so lack now. But it
yeah,
had a note from a mother to a daughter inside. Let me just read the note and show you. That's the note. Uh, my darling Casey, remember this: joy is not incidental in the quest for happiness. It is vital. I love you so very much, and you have given me so much joy just by being so happy, Mum. And that was written in 1997, and I'm sure the book is even much older than that.
oh,
Maybe even the 80s. I'll have to look it up. But anyway, what this book does is every day it gives you just like almost
really,
like a thought of the day, and so every
yeah,
every page is sort of each day of the year, and it's just so interesting how it follows the seasons and just some of the things that you might be feeling at a certain time. And on September the 28th, oh, my picture's just fallen out, which is from the book. I think this is a Mum and Casey, which is quite sweet.
oh, that's
um
so
and so from September 28th, the insert is a time for everything. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. Yes, but they are not the same time. You cannot raise happy, secure, emotionally well-adjusted children, revel in a fabulous marriage, and work a 60-hour week. You want to, I know, so do I, but we can't. It's physically, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually impossible. We've tried, we have failed. We cannot circumvent the laws of heaven and earth just because it would be convenient, just because it would fit nicely into our plans. We have tried, we have failed. When we cannot do it all at the same time, we are meant to only do some of it. In order to find out what that sum is to be, we need to ask, what is it I truly want right now? What is it I truly need? How do I get it? How much does it cost in life's currency? This might be the season for you to wipe a runny nose. That doesn't mean the season of running your own business won't occur. This might be the season of living out of a suitcase. That doesn't mean the season of restoring a colonial farmhouse will never come. Making deals doesn't seem that Making deals doesn't mean that someday you won't be making school lunches. The seasons of life are not meant to be frenetic, just full. You probably can have it all, Anna Quindlen muses, just not all at the same time. And you might have to make certain compromises when your children are small, but your children are going to be small for a very short period of time. It will go by in the blink of an eye, and you will only be 40, 50, or 60 with another 15 or 25 years ahead of you. A quarter of a century to do what you want to do the way you want to do it. Blessed is the woman who knows her own limits.
Oh, wow.
And I
That
think
is
that's just so
so
nice.
beautiful.
Because we're always racing to like do
Yeah.
it and like feeling so like crap about ourselves when we can't. But like, blessed is the woman who knows her own limits. It's like, and I think also, I think it's probably worth talking about how like it's not just always about like guarding like yourself. It's also
Mm,
about like letting yourself sometimes be in a slightly uncomfortable situation for growth, because I think this was a massive part of what we spoke about privately. It's like like I think in this like modern day we're like constantly like, no, like I don't want to do that, like that's against me. But like
yeah.
sometimes it's like also about like knowing who
Yeah.
you are to others and the role that you fill and fulfilling that duty well as well. Like
Yeah.
it's not always about just being super like self-indulgent, self-absorbed, and this is my time, this is my life, these are my 30s. It's also about knowing when to like adjust,
Be
when to
fluid.
compromise.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I
Yeah,
almost feel like we take it as like expecting too much when we're supposed to compromise, or like other people expecting too much. But it is all part of life, I guess, and seasons of life that require certain versions of us to be present. And
yeah. And you can't have, like they say, it takes a village to raise a
yeah,
family, but
yeah,
you can't like have a village without giving the village something. Like you've
yeah,
also got to
that's so
offer
true.
a part of yourself and give up a part of yourself to have the fruits of that
The
community,
village,
that
yeah,
village.
oh, yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that's a big thing that we're learning, and probably something that we're going to continue to learn as we go
yeah,
into the next phases of our life, and
absolutely.
potentially have children and all the rest of it that comes with that. Like it's going to be a season of sacrifice, I know that. And I think that's why
Yeah,
so many women in our generation at a similar stage to us are like so scared of that next
yeah,
phase, because
yeah,
it's like we've been so selfish maybe for so long, and that comes with, that's great as well, that's necessary. I think
yeah,
many generations before us haven't been selfish enough in that regard. But there's
yeah,
also the reality is that in order for you to have relationships and community and people
yeah,
around you, there's something you also need to give
oh,
to have to be able to have that and maintain that.
truly, that's beautifully said.
Hmm. Well, do we have a word of the day?
Yes, actually, we do. And it really ties into the topic of identity. The word is idiosyncrasies, which means like a trait or something particular that makes a person who they are. So, yeah, something that makes you simply you. And yeah, I just
Like,
thought it was a really
yeah,
beautiful word.
like those
And
quirks that we all
yeah,
have.
yeah.
Yeah. What are your quirks, or what are my quirks?
Um, you'll make everything, you could make anything into a spoken word and recite it so beautifully. Yeah, I really think that you have a magic with words. I think that would be your like your trait. Like you could just turn any words into, whether that's like to read, to hear, to speak. Like you just have a magic with words.
And I think for you, thank you for that. And I think for you, which is ironic almost because of what we've been speaking about and losing touch with it, for you, like, and it was always been it's always been the case, is like your ability to like make a house a home, your ability to make people feel comfortable, how hospitable you are, how good you are with like family and elders, all right through from when we were like kids, and we weren't supposed to be good at all of that stuff. You were amazing at all of that stuff, which is funny because like so much of the conversation that we had was about like how you're struggling to like give even your apartment time to like decorate it,
Yeah,
and actually like so much of like getting in touch with who we are is about doing those things, like
yeah,
taking the time to go and like make love to your apartment and like dress it up and give it love so it can give you something back.
yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, so
absolutely.
it's just funny because so much of identity is also losing touch with it and then regaining that touch with it.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, and I suppose we're on that journey now.
yeah. Absolutely. And I think that was a beautiful topic to really uncover, and I really enjoyed chatting with you about it today.
Yes, and it was such a nice topic to come back to after such a long
A
hiatus.
long time.
And
Yeah.
even though we're not going to put any pressure on ourselves to get the next episode out, I would like to think that it will be much sooner than this
Sooner.
one
Yeah. Yeah.
was. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled on YouTube and Spotify, because we'll definitely be posting our fifth episode soon. And I know we keep teasing guests. We've got so many lined up,
Lined up.
but
Yeah,
I'm also really
honestly.
just enjoying chatting, like just the two of us for a little
Yeah,
while.
same. It's been so like wholesome in its own way. Like I know that like we don't come in with this like agenda or like sit and like as much as we say we should read up and have facts, but it just feels so much more real and true to us to just kind of come here and just chat about
And
things that
figure it
we,
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
are genuinely struggling with in our own lives, because I truly believe that we're not alone in that struggle. And there are so many other women there who are also in the same boat and are kind of facing similar things. So yeah,
Yeah.
I do
But it's
think
a
that it's
beautiful journey. It's not all a struggle. Sometimes it's just part of it is just figuring it out and
yeah,
unraveling it and doing it together and doing it in
correct.
community. And I
Yeah,
think there was in the past, maybe there were so many more opportunities for women to do that together. And
yeah,
by like being so guarded with our times and who we are and our individualism,
yeah.
maybe we don't come together as like that as much anymore. So hopefully this is a space for that. And we hope our listeners will share their own experiences of what we're speaking about and how they maybe relate to it in the comments, because we'd love to read that. We'd
Absolutely.
love to create a bit of a community space here. So yeah, please do engage. We're just like normal gals that are like talking about our lives and experiences and the things that we see. So yeah, would love to like connect with you all. So yeah, please do. I think that's probably it then for today.
Yeah,
We're Finding the Words podcast. I'm Vidhu and I'm with my
and Mina.
co-host.
Yeah,
Yes. And we'll be back with episode 5 very soon. But thank you so much for listening.
thank you.